Hello history students, Mr. Lassiter here with you, and in this video we're going to be talking about topic sentences, which you will be developing for your paragraphs and essays for our HTA course. Let's begin with our video goals for today. Main questions we want to think about: what is a topic sentence? What are some tips for writing a strong topic sentence supported by the historical thinking skills in this course? And what are some examples of this in action? We'll also introduce some vocabulary that you may or may not be familiar with. So what exactly is a topic sentence? Well, according to the Purdue Online Writing Lab, it is a sentence that identifies the main idea of the paragraph. It also states the point the writer wishes to make about that subject. Now, what makes a good topic sentence might vary from person to person, but in general, the characteristics of a good topic sentence include that it identifies the main idea or topic, and almost always at the beginning of the paragraph. It also addresses the question in a focused manner and is defensible and based on the supporting evidence. So what exactly makes a good topic sentence? Well, here are some tips. In general, you should answer the question with a focused idea. You don't want to try to take too many factors into account in each paragraph. If you need to cover multiple ones, use multiple paragraphs. It should also be supported by evidence. Your topic sentence doesn't introduce the evidence itself. That's what the rest of your body paragraph is for. If part of an essay, include transitions. Transitions are words or phrases that help your writing flow smoothly between paragraphs. Furthermore, might show that you are adding an additional point to help prove a larger point. On the other hand, might show that you're changing directions and looking at an alternate argument. Topic sentences should also be informed by your historical thinking skills. So look at the evidence. What conclusions did you draw while sourcing a document in history? What conclusions did you draw while close reading? Collect your evidence before writing your topic sentence. You don't want to come into a document or documents with your mind already made up. Instead, think about the question and what the evidence shows before arriving at that conclusion, and then answer the question. Also, your topic sentence generally avoids introducing sources. This is something that seems okay while we're dealing with one source, but it becomes problematic if you deal with 2 or maybe 10 sources in a larger paper. So now let's take a look at some examples of topic sentences at 3 different levels: minimal, basic, and more complex. The question we're going to use here is, why did Christian soldiers go on crusade in the 11th and 12th centuries? And let's imagine that we have a document, a speech from Pope Urban II that lays out the reasons that Christians in Europe might want to go fight these holy wars. Well, after you've read that document and looked at the evidence, you should develop a topic sentence that answers this question. The first example, though, is a minimal topic sentence. So here's that example. Christian soldiers went on crusade for many reasons. While this is a topic sentence, and it might clue us into the fact that we're going to see several reasons why Christians went on crusade, this is minimal because it does not provide much or any specificity on what those reasons were. So now here is a basic example. Christian soldiers went on crusade for both religious and personal reasons. Here we still have a topic sentence that answers our question, but it gives a little bit more specificity: religious and personal reasons. These could be everything from believing that this is going to give the remission of sins and that you could get into heaven. Perhaps it was a way people believe that, well, we're doing this for the good of all humanity or to spread Christianity, but every individual might have their own reasons. Some of these were highlighted in Pope Urban II's speech, and so it would lead us to this topic sentence which answers our question. Now let's take a look at a complex topic sentence. Same question, but this sentence says, at the outset of the Crusades, called by Pope Urban II in 1095, both religious and personal reasons motivated Christian soldiers to go to war. Now, in this example, we have put into effect our historical thinking skills. We have noted that, yes, both religious and personal reasons motivated Christian soldiers to go to war, but this document is specifically from the outset of the Crusades. So we have to acknowledge that perhaps the reasons people went on crusade at the beginning might be much different than much later in these wars. Let's talk a little bit more about how our historical thinking skills can inform our topic sentences. We'll start with the skill that is most familiar to you, sourcing. How do you use sourcing to help write a topic sentence? Well, let's look at an example. The central question, how many people died during the Great Famine in China? Well, if the source is a village record from the Hunan province in 1960, you might say, well, how can we tell what happened all over China? This is a reliable source, but it can only give me information about one village for 1 year. So our topic sentence might note that significant numbers of Chinese citizens died in one village during the Great Famine in 1960. That does not mean that more did not die elsewhere, but that our evidence that we have shows that in this one place in 1960, we do have evidence of death during the Great Famine. Another example which you might be familiar with, how did the Inca Empire expand? Our source was mostly reliable, but we need to be aware that Guaman Poma de Ayala will most likely only include the positive elements of expansion because of his family's background as Incan nobility. So how do we directly respond to the central question by narrowing down based on these sourcing conclusions? Well, we can note it in the topic sentence. Surviving Incan nobility argued that the Inca were able to expand their empire primarily by offering protection and trade opportunities to smaller states. Now let's think about how close reading helps us write our topic sentences. We're going to use our Electrolux advertisement to think about this. Our central question, how did advertisers in 1950s America market their products? We use close reading to reach a number of conclusions. There were lots of claims here, not a lot of concrete evidence. Electrolux tried to make themselves seem trustworthy. It's an advertisement after all, and their goal is to sell vacuums. So how then do we answer this question? Well, one way is that we can say American advertisers of the 1950s enticed customers to buy their goods by claiming their products would last and their companies were popular. This topic sentence foreshadows analysis. We have summarized the strategies the advertiser used, presumably to be backed up with evidence later in the paragraph, and foreshadowed why the advertisers would use this strategy in the first place, to entice customers to buy their goods. How might you modify this topic sentence further by also incorporating some sourcing elements into it? Sourcing and close reading are just two of the historical thinking skills that might impact your topic sentences. Remember that as we get to contextualization and corroboration, those can impact our topic sentences too. The main thing is to think about which historical thinking skill you find to be most helpful when you are trying to analyze a source. Maybe the source is perfectly reliable, but the context really changed the way you read it. Maybe the author seemed to be making a lot of choices based on what was going on when they wrote their source. Maybe close reading was straightforward, but when you tried to corroborate your source, they had very different ideas from a second source, and you're having trouble explaining those differences. These can always impact how you answer a question, and they should be taken into account. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure that you can answer the video goals questions, and if you cannot, go back and rewatch those parts of the video. Now would be a great time to write down some key takeaways from the video and any questions you might want to bring to class as we start to practice developing topic sentences based on our analysis. Have a great day.